One of the reasons many people fear to put forward step is that economic security and the fear of the future. So you can conclude today's session with some one or two words on how one can be free from the fear of security and dedicate.
Actually, I can only speak from experience of having seen so many wonderful devotees that I have grown up with. I think the first and the foremost thing is that a devotee should have the courage to simplify his life. That is, without the effort to simplify, which means lead a fairly simple life. I'm not saying very austere life in the sense that you sleep on a mat, you sleep on this. No. Simplify your life. You can actually cut off more than 50-60% of your monthly expenses if you progressively simplify your life. What you essentially need is a roof on your head and some food to eat and a little saving for the rainy day, they say. So if one has the courage to simplify, then that makes things easier. The first thing. The second thing is that typically what happens is that you should get a partner who is also cooperative and willing to take that kind of a adventurous lifestyle. Personally, I feel that there should not be any difference in the level of dedication between a grihastha, sannyasi, or a brahmachari. Should not be, ideally. Just as much as brahmacharis are always supposed to be ready to pack their bags and go wherever your guru orders, wherever your guru asks you to go. Even a grihastha should be equally ready to go, pack their bags and go. His Holiness Japataka Maharaj one time quoted an example to me when we had a darshan with him in Mayapur. He said that way back in the time of Sri Ramanujacharya, Ramanujacharya would call his grihastha disciples, tell them that he wanted them to go to this city or that city, this place, Kashi, Badrinath, Kedarnath, Haridwar, different places, Kashmir, different places, go and open ashrams there, Vaishnava ashrams there. And his grihastha disciples would go, not brahmachari or sannyasis. Grihastha disciples would go at the command of Ramanujacharya. So His Holiness Japataka Maharaj at that time mentioned that I would like to see all grihasthas, if not everybody in ISKCON, at least my disciples, all grihasthas, should be trained to be able to and to be willing to have that kind of conviction, faith, to be able to do that if the Guru requests them to go, pack their bags, leave. Some of that instruction has kind of stuck in my mind. So I keep telling myself every now and then that you don't know when the next call will come, where His Holiness Japataka Maharaj will ask me to go, or what new assignment he may ask me to take. So I've seen, I'm just not the only guy. There are many people who live like this. So this thing about Krishna will maintain, Krishna will take care, Krishna will support. We have to have that faith. Srila Prabhupada mentions that one time somebody gave him a donation, wrote a check and gave $5,000 or $1,000, something like that, and he gave to Srila Prabhupada. So after that gentleman left, there was a press reporter who came, and press reporter came, and Prabhupada was asked by him, how are you maintaining this global support? Global organization, so many temples. Srila Prabhupada told him that Krishna is supporting. Now, it is true that none of us go to work, we don't do this, we don't do that. We don't do any businesses. It's Krishna who is supporting. Then one of his secretary who was sitting there tried to clarify to the reporter, what Prabhupada is trying to say is that, we work hard, we sell the books, there's a margin here, we sell incense, but it's Krishna who is making it happen, who's giving us the intelligence. And Prabhupada corrected him and said, no, Krishna is supporting, Krishna is sending the money. Then Prabhupada gave this example. He said, this gentleman who came before you were here, he was an American businessman or something. He was a friend and admirer of Prabhupada. He came, he pulled a check out of his pocket, wrote a check for $5,000 or something, gave it to Prabhupada and went away. Prabhupada told the reporter and told his secretary also, Krishna made him do that. I didn't ask, you didn't ask, neither did we preach. Krishna made him do that. So then, so very explicitly Prabhupada said, it's Krishna who's supporting, Krishna who's sending support. So we should, I keep asking, I keep wondering that what kind of security is there in this material world anyway? If he was asking security for a grahastha, is there any security for a, let's say, somebody who has money or something? Is that security? Is money security? I would say not really, because today if you have one simple illness, you don't know how many lakhs you would lose. COVID, I've seen people who have connected with my temple in Bangalore and other places. They've lost 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs because they got COVID and then got admitted into hospitals and crazy situations they had to encounter. They lost so much money. They had to end up taking loans. So all their lifetime savings just gets blown away. You could get cheated. Somebody might steal. Different things. I would say that just because you're a grahastha, it's not that money is security. I mean, somewhere along the line, we have to start understanding that this years and years of service that you have done to Krishna, Krishna won't forget. Why will he forget? Krishna will remember. Krishna will take care. That faith and confidence has to come, because we know from Ramayana that after the battle, Lord Rama was so deeply concerned about all the soldiers who fought on his behalf, on his side, that he summoned Indra and said that I would like all of them to be restored to their original youth and vitality. They sacrificed for my sake. So Lord Chaitanya is such a merciful personality. Won't he take care of the people who are sacrificing for him, for his mission, for his movement, who are sacrificing? So we have to have that kind of a faith that luckily India is India. So if we are living a Brahminical life and we are preaching, I think whatever you need to support yourself, maintain will come by on its own accord, more or less. Come on its own accord. The problem is when we start diluting ourselves, we start becoming lazy, we start wanting that my child also should go to a big, 5-star type of a school or this or that. We all went to simple schools. I went to a government municipal school where my father had to pay 50 rupees or something as a fee for a whole year or something like that. I grew up like that, which is, I think, more or less must have been true for Radheshyam Prabhu also. We all came from very, very simple backgrounds. So the moment we start thinking that I want my child to become like this, like that, he has to get the best of education, best of tuitions, best of this, then it's no longer Brahminical life. Then nobody can satisfy you. Even if you go out and work, it's donkey's work. It's not. So Prabhupada actually tells, emphatically he tells, you've given so many lives to so many things. One life you give to Krishna and see what happens. So we should try. I don't know what's in store for me in future, but I've come this far. Already, I've, close to 30 years in Krishna consciousness, active Krishna consciousness. I've come this far, and I, not even for a moment, I regret. And I'm not a great devotee. I'm a real Shudra type of a devotee. I was telling Radheshyam Prabhu yesterday, I'm so far away from the Brahminical qualities that he has. I'm just a Shudra type of a guy who fixes things, does things, or something like that. But there's a place for me also in this organization. Somewhere in some corner, I also have a place to stay. Srila Prabhupada is kind and merciful. He has given me that opportunity. Even though I'm completely unfit to be in the presence of people like you, I'm still getting some opportunity to serve. So if we are willing to serve, if we come forward, we are willing to be submissive. There's so many opportunities in ISKCON. And I would say there are so many growth opportunities in ISKCON. Because today we have more opportunities, more temples than leaders. Like if you come to Karnataka, we have a project in Raichur, we have something else coming up in Madikeri, this place, Chitradurga. All these places are exactly where they were all these years because we don't have enough devotees or leaders to lead them. But if we have more devotees like you who wish to take up an ISKCON related career, those places will flourish. And by the way, you'll also get maintained, easily maintained. When someone takes responsibility for Krishna, for preaching, oh, he will, without any doubt, I can assure you that he will be maintained by Guru and Krishna, by Srila Prabhupada's mercy. If he is willing to come forward, take responsibility, work for it, spread the movement of Lord Chaitanya, and work tirelessly, the easiest thing that will happen is, Prabhupada says, what about the big animals in the ocean, in the sea, in the forest? Who's maintaining them? Do they go to Google and Microsoft and work there or something? They're not doing any of those things, but they maintain. So Prabhupada says, if they who are not doing devotional service are also maintained, what to speak of those? Prabhupada gives the example. If someone gives his life for his country, Prabhupada says that person, that family is honored. Their children get jobs. They get a house, they get this, they get site allotment, they get so many things that get. Same way, if someone becomes a member of Lord Chaitanya's army, I think all the devatas and others will reward that person. I mean, even the smallest of service that you do in this moment, it gets rewarded. And just as much as Hanuman is glorified because he flew across the ocean. But if you read the Sundarakanda, there are so many portions of the Sundarakanda which says that every time Hanuman steps out and does something bold, does something extraordinary, there are the devatas and the rishis and munis up there in the sky who are showering flowers and glorifying Hanuman and saying, Shabash, very good, Hari Bol, like that. So we also when we are taking the risk going out and wanting to preach, I have not yet heard any devata in my life, but I am sure that someone up there is noticing that this whole community is taking risk and doing so much for Krishna and Prabhupada and for Lord Chaitanya. So, and then there is a support system which is emerging in ISKCON. More and more senior devotees are becoming cautious, becoming careful. They're setting aside some money to take care of the real senior citizens who've spent all their life serving the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then they've come to a ripe old age where they need to be taken care of a little bit. I don't think ISKCON is so petty-minded or that they won't take care. I'm sure they will. There is some support system emerging. But then, see, there is one thing I want to tell you. We should not step into a full-time life in expectation of a complete secure life, or in anticipation of complete secure life, or that considering that security, this and that are my entitlement or my privilege. You understand what I'm saying? You should not step into that. We should not. I mean, it's great if one were to step into a full-time, mood, saying there has to be selflessness and unconditionality. That means, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Today I've lived, I've got two square meals, I have a roof over my head. Today is over. For kal ka kal dekhenge. I mean, a devotee has to learn to live like that. If you ask me, that's the best way that is real Brahmacharya. Forget about Brahmacharya. That is the mood of every Gaudiya Vaishnava. Kal ka kal dekhenge. Otherwise, see, even if you're a businessman, even if you're this or that, what does Prabhupada say? Prabhupada said 50% of your money, please give it for propagation. You're not supposed to, you're not expected to keep much more than what's left. After 50% you go to Krishna consciousness, support yourself and keep a little bit for the rainy day. That's about all you're entitled. That's about all you should be taking care of. What about Vanaprastha? Vanaprastha is not that I build a building, I get rental income and then I just go and sit, then I retire. No, that's not the original idea of Vanaprastha. Vanaprastha means you depend on Krishna, you depend on, you depend on the Lord's mercy. You don't depend on your financial smartness securing. But people do it. I'm not going to criticize anybody who's done that. That's okay. Something is better than nothing. But a real Gaudiya Vaishnava will never think beyond today. In terms of how to take care of himself. He said, today is over, we'll see tomorrow, kal ka kal dekhenge. Or rather, he will try to tell himself how nice it will be if I become more dedicated tomorrow, become more engaged, become more fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness or preaching or my services. How nice it will be. His target, his mind is only thinking about, can I improve my involvement, my sacrifice, my surrender, my dedication. And true Gaudiya Vaishnava will always see so much scope for improvement in these areas that he's so absorbed thinking about it. See, look at this person. He's reading 3-4 hours a day. He's so well versed. He's so well situated. He's always cheerful. In spite of all his duties, he's still finding time to read scripture. What about me? I should improve. The Gaudiya Vaishnava will always focus in terms of how I can become a better devotee. He won't focus in terms of what about my privileges? Who's going to take care of me? He won't have the time. He just won't have the time. He'll be so absorbed in the ecstasy of wanting to become a better devotee, service Guru more, show more dedication, become more submissive to the assembly to the Vaishnavas, Guru Parampara, Guru Sadhu Shastra, whatever it may be, that he just won't have the time to meditate or plan. That's when life is truly exciting. Completely exciting. You'll get completely absorbed in living like that. No, having said that, I'm sure many of you will think that's foolish. How can people live like that? But it was during Prabhupada's time. No devotee was making so much elaborate personal planning on what will happen to me once I'm 40 or 50 or 60. Nobody was doing. Somehow or other things will pass by. One lifetime. So many lifetimes I've lived in a secure environment. Why not one lifetime give it to Krishna? They lived like that. So, the real progress a devotee we can start seeing is when he starts thinking less about himself and his future, his security, and starts thinking more about Guru and Guru's mission, ISKCON's situation. And you think Krishna won't maintain such people? Oh, he'll love. He will take care so nicely. I was mentioning a story yesterday of how Sugriva, in a burst of enthusiasm, because yesterday we were discussing enthusiasm, when he first sees Ravana, he jumps from where he was and then he attacks Ravana, gets into a combat with Ravana. They start wrestling. And Lord Rama is watching the whole thing from a distance, because the moment Sugriva sees Ravana, he gets so carried away by anger and then, what shall I say, uncontrolled anger. So he jumps from where he is standing next to Rama and attacks Ravana, and then Ravana, they're wrestling with each other, it goes on, and then finally, slowly Ravana is beginning to overpower Sugriva. Then Sugriva just releases himself from the grip of Ravana, escapes and comes back to Lord Rama. Lord Rama is looking at Sugriva, and the first thing that he does as soon as Sugriva comes back to him is he feels the body of Sugriva. He starts feeling and saying, "Are you all right? Are you all right? Did something happen to you? Did he break any of your bones or something?" He pacifies Sugriva. He looks at Sugriva. He's physically touching Sugriva. Valmiki Ramayana clearly explains this incident. He's feeling the whole, and then he looks at Sugriva almost with a tearful eyes. Lord Rama is looking at Sugriva and saying, "Why did you do this? Why did you do this?" Then Sugriva is a little ashamed and embarrassed at having done that. He bends his head and says, "What to do? I couldn't control myself. Out of anger, that he kidnapped Sita and he has made you suffer so much. So I just couldn't. I thought I'll just kill him right now, finish this one shot, and then end the whole thing without having to do a battle. That's why I did this." Lord Rama says, "No. You're a king. You're a very responsible person. You have to act maturely. You have to be thoughtful. You have to be careful. You have to discuss. You have to take good counsel. You can't just act impulsively like this. And by the way, I'm so relieved that you came back healthy. I mean, you came back without any injury to you." And then Lord Rama will say, "What would have happened to me if you were injured? How would I have faced? I don't know how I would have tolerated this separation, or how much it would have hurt me if Ravana had done something to you." So his friendly affection for Sugriva is flowing out for Sugriva. And by the way, it It is not that his affection is restricted to Sugriva alone. Lord Rama feels that way towards anybody who takes risk or responsibility, wants to dedicate his life or be submissive and do something for the mission of Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya is 1,000,000,000 times probably more compassionate and merciful than any other incarnation of the Lord, Mahavadanyaya. And then you can imagine how nicely the Lord will take care. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.